Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Easy Natural English with Liam. How are you all doing? I guess a lot of you, like me, still have to stay at home. This coronavirus is still continuing. It's just going on and on. It's still a very difficult, tragic time. And yeah, it's a very hard time for everybody. So yeah, stay strong, everyone. All we can do is wait, wash our hands, stay at home, be healthy and careful, and just wait. That's all we can do. But today, as usual, speaking to you in natural English, and today I'm going to talk about the weather. So the weather has been a bit crazy recently. So that's why I thought today I would talk about that. And at the moment, at least here in Okinawa, it has become beautiful. Like today is so sunny and so hot. Actually, maybe a bit too hot. At the moment, my wife is in the garden sunbathing. Sunbathing is when you lay in the sun or sit in the sun, and you try to get a tan. You try to get your skin tanned, which means get a bit of color into your skin. So she's outside sunbathing, but personally I don't want to go outside. It's too hot, so I'm inside with the air conditioning on. Because if you don't know about Okinawa, then that's where I live. Okinawa is an island in the south of Japan, really far south. Actually, it's very close to Taiwan. So the weather is kind of subtropical. So not tropical, and tropical means on the equator. So equator, those of you watching the YouTube version, you'll be able to see what I'm doing right now on the map. So the equator runs through here, through the middle. Maybe more around here, through the middle of the world. The equator is the line that runs across the middle of the world, and that's the part of the world that's really hot. That's the hottest part of the world, and they have no seasons. There's no spring, summer, autumn, winter. It's just like warm all year. We call that area the tropical zone, tropical area. That's where you have the rainforests, and very hot, humid weather. And humid means there's a lot of moisture in the air, a lot of water in the air. So here in Okinawa, it's not quite tropical because there are seasons, but it is subtropical. So it means there are seasons, but it's still pretty warm all the time. So winter gets cooler, but it doesn't get cold. So it's quite perfect, really. I like this kind of climate. But it means today it's very hot and very humid. There's a lot of moisture in the air. A bit stuffy. Sometimes people say it's stuffy. When the air feels heavy, we say, oh, it's stuffy today. And today is stuffy. It's hot and humid. I wonder what the weather is like where you are. I think this year, for a lot of people around the world, the weather has been a bit crazy, probably due to climate change, global warming, like the world's climate is changing due to pollution and lots of other damage that we humans do to the world. I think some countries have been colder than usual, and then other parts, like recently it was colder than usual. Like parts of Japan had snow at the same time as blossom. So it was very hot for a short time and the flowers blossomed. If you know about Japan, there's the famous cherry blossom, the sakura, the famous cherry blossom. So the flowers were blossoming like it was spring, but then suddenly it got very cold and it started snowing. So, this is crazy weather when you have signs of spring and signs of winter, at the same time. So Maybe it was a good time for photographers. Maybe you could get some nice photos of the blossom and the snow together. I'm sure it looked quite beautiful, but it's a bit worrying. It's a bit worrying for our planet, to see these kind of signs. It's definitely not a usual thing. Some people like Donald Trump, he doesn't believe in climate change. Maybe he should take a trip to Japan and see blossom and snow at the same time. Maybe he'll realize that it is in fact very real and it is a very big problem. Yeah, and it's quite worrying when somebody so powerful like him doesn't believe in it. Yeah, it's a little bit worrying. But yeah, I wonder what it's like in your country. I think in some countries there's no question. In some countries it is clear that climate change exists. And actually, I once saw a very interesting news article. I saw a news article on The Guardian. The Guardian is a nice British newspaper. If you'd like to read some news in English, then you can search for Guardian on the internet, because it's one that's free to read. Many online newspapers these days, they ask you to pay a subscription or a fee, but The Guardian is free, so you can read that for free. They ask for donations, so if you really like them and you want to help them, you can send them a donation, but at first you can read it for free. So The Guardian had a really interesting article that showed around the world things that different countries are scared of. And they showed that developing countries, so countries that are poorer, countries that have less money, those countries are scared of climate change. A lot of those people are scared of climate change. And, the article said that's because for them, it's a really big problem. Because if the weather gets warmer, then, it's very hard to grow food. All your plants, like for example, wheat or rice, will die, and then you cannot feed your animals for food. It's a really big problem for countries like that. And also, a lot of those countries are in this more tropical area where they can also be affected by the sea level rising. So if the sea, if the ice melts in the Arctic regions, the Arctic region is very far north, very far south in the world. If the ice melts in these Arctic regions, then, the sea level will rise, will come up, and those countries will be affected by that, especially small islands, places like that. Like me in Okinawa. So I hope the sea level doesn't rise or I'm in trouble. I live very close to the beach as well, so I should be really worried. Anyway, today's episode had maybe some difficult vocabulary here. Maybe you thought, the weather, this will be an easy topic, but actually it got a bit difficult. But, as always, I'm speaking with no script and no editing. So, I don't plan what I'm going to say. So you can listen to the way people naturally speak. And, this is me naturally talking about this topic. So if it was difficult, please listen again. Like with all the other episodes, if you find it hard, just listen to the episode again. 2-3 times, that's probably enough. It'll probably get boring after that, and then just keep practicing listening. Listen to other episodes, listen to other English, other places, just keep listening. And then you can go back in a few months, listen to a difficult episode again, and maybe you'll find, it's easy now. My ears have got more used to English. So it's a good way to study. Sometimes check something you listened to a few months ago and then listen again, and then it can kind of give you confidence when you realize, I've improved, I've got better. It's a good way to see that you've got better. But anyway, thank you all for listening today. If you're on YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe. If you're listening to the podcast, please review. And also, those listening on the podcast, I want you to know that from now on, once a week, I will be putting a grammar lesson on the YouTube channel. So you won't hear the grammar lessons on the podcast, but it will be on the YouTube channel. So check out the YouTube channel, Easy Natural English, if you'd like to see the grammar lessons. But as usual, the podcast version will be uploaded both places. Anyway, thank you all for listening today, and I'll see you all back here next time.